From my experience, the problem that many high school defensive backs have is that they don't have the proper coaching starting from a young age. This goes into technique, this goes into how to play the spot, coaching with one-on-ones, where your eyes should be, how your feet should move, your hands, all of that together. So that's why I'm doing the video and the rest of the channel, to give back to the younger defensive backs and athletes out there, to share what I've learned at my higher level of football, learning from coaches from the CFL, NFL, and all that. So there's going to be a lot of information in this video. I got my boy Shane out here running one-on-ones. We're going to give him some corrections. Make sure you tag a DB so you could share this with them too. They get to learn how to play. It'll up their game as well. And if you want all the corrections, stick around for the whole video, or then check out the rest of the channel, because I'm constantly giving you more information, more drills, training, all that, what's going to get you to take your game to the next level. Alright, so this is a cut up of about 6 different plays, so we're just going to go through it. So here's the first play. It makes a play in the end, but let's break it down, see what we can learn. So, nice job to tempo the receiver. He's not getting out there too quick or too slow. Try with him on the break. That's a good job of breaking right before the receiver does. And then actually beating him for the first step out of the break. Just a couple things before we get into the rest of it. And this will be common throughout the video. So Shane, I'd like you to have your pad level, I'm not wearing pads, but just be a bit lower in your back pedal. You want to hide your numbers. So pretend you're wearing a jersey. You don't want the receiver to be able to see your numbers, which means you're bent over and you're in that low position and athletic stance, which means you're good to move in any direction. Think how easy it is to break to your right if you're standing straight up compared to if you're down low in an athletic stance. Other than that, will also help you with, if you're in that stance, see when you break here, right there, you step in out of your body a little bit. And what I mean by that is that this foot is kind of getting far outside your frame. If you're able to break and it's closer or right under you, you're going to just get out there quicker with more power. So it doesn't really happen in this situation, but if you plan out too far outside yourself, your next step is probably going to be right under you. Then from there, you're going to have to start actually moving your other direction. But if you already plan under you in your break step, then it'll just be that much faster getting out there, and you'll be that much quicker to get into the ball. So great job on the break, being the receiver. What you want to do here is fight for that shoulder closest to the ball. So you want to fight to get in front of him. You're right with him here, but if you could beat him, get in front of him, that's going to up your chances of getting a pick, making a play on the ball that much higher. Now, it's a poorly thrown ball here. Didn't have the proper QB, and you do a good job making a play on the ball, but if you're playing the odds, when you get higher up in levels, you're going to have better quarterbacks, better receivers, so you want to make sure that your technique just gets better as you keep going. Here's the second play. Got to skate on the receiver. Now, if you're in America, you won't really see this, but in Canada, there's lots of receiver motions, one from one side to the other. They orbit around. They do a lot of different things, and they're allowed to. So you got to get used to covering that receiver motion. Now, what you don't want to do here is have your hips open one way and be really high up. You want to treat a motion like a normal play. So if he moves, you move, and then you get back into position. If he motions far inside, then I recommend going to his outside hip, because he just opened up a lot of space out there. So he can run out, corner, anything, an out-breaking route, because he opened up that space. What you don't want to do, if you're inside or outside shade, is just have your hips open and be high up. You want to be in that low athletic stance and ready to make a play on the ball. Because normally on a play, as soon as you open up your hips normally, that's when the receiver sees your open hips, and then he breaks it out. That's the whole goal of them stemming you one way just to break the other way. So if you already open up your hips here, it just makes it that much easier for him to break out, and that's exactly what happens in this situation. Now, even if you get beat here, it's not the end of the world, but somehow I'll catch you here. For one, the break was a bit sloppy, so you want to make sure you work on running and then coming back down, work on that break, sprinting up, and then doing a man turn this way. But aside from that, look here at your eyes. They're at the quarterback who's in here. What you want to do, if you get beat, normally all the time, as soon as you break, have your eyes on the receiver through the break. And you want to be staring at his hips. Because this is going to have you running on your line, driving exactly to where he is. And it's going to have your eyes on him. In case he does a double, triple move, you're going to know where he is, so you're not going to get fooled. Now, when your eyes are on the quarterback, for one, it slows you down. And for two, you don't know where the receiver is going. And you probably won't be on the right line. But even after all that, still not too far. Just a couple steps behind them in position to make a tackle if it was a catch. Now, what I'd like to see here, even though it's a bad ball, just sprint as fast as you can to the receiver and get a tag off. Just to show that in the situation, it is a game, practice, whatever, you're in position to make the tackle and limit the gain. Because we all get beat as defensive backs. If you don't, you haven't played enough. But you got to show that for whatever they get, you're going to take them off, limit the gain, and be ready to come back next play, higher energy, and ready to make a play. All right, third play here, same motion. Now, better job, we got some corrections on the field. So, nicer job keeping your hips square. Again, I'd say stay lower in your stance. And one thing that's going to help you with that, before you start anything, every time you line up in practice, game, DB, doesn't matter where you are, you want to touch the ground to know you're nice and low. Then you're probably going to pop up a bit, which is natural anyways. But if you touch the ground, you know you're starting down low and you're just going to be in a better spot than if you're standing up. All right, let's see this play. All right, I'll play one more time, then we'll go through it. All right. If you're watching this right now, leave a comment why you think that Shane got beat on this play. What do you think he could have fixed better? If it's his eyes, feet, hips, whatever you think it is, leave a comment for that. What I think it is that, so he does a motion, not too bad on adjusting there. Looks like he's probably outside the receiver right now, which is completely fine. Now, after the start of staying square, he opens his hips, but the receiver does run inside, so it just actually make it easier in this case. What he does is he gets fooled by this jab step by the receiver. The receiver takes one step out, then the DB gets a bit off balance, second guesses himself, and starts, you can see right there, his foot puts weight in it. If your hips are open inside, you're ready to run that way, and he'd be right there. But if you second guess yourself, you're just in a bad situation, you're going to be in no man's land. And the reason that this all happens, so he only takes one step. If you watch your receiver's hips, he doesn't really move them, but look at the eyes. They're up here. You want your eyes glued to his hip, the hip you're covering. Hip, waist, what works for you, but in that area. Because if you're watching him down here, watch your receiver now. His head, he does a little head fake. Dips it a bit, but now watch his hip. Doesn't really move. He takes one step, it looks like he's still running straight. So if you make sure you have your eyes in the right spot, you're lower, you're square, you're going to break on that just like you did on the first ball and be in position. But the biggest thing about this, like this stuff happens. You get your eyes in the wrong spot. Sometimes it's a run play, you don't expect it. In the heat of a game, lots of things happen. But the biggest thing you have to do, if it's a game, practice, or just training session, is make sure you're running your ass off to get to the ball. If you just got beat by the receiver, look at this, 27-yard line. There's a lot of field left. You gotta treat this like a game. So if he catches a ball, you run, sprint as fast as you can to tag him off to show you make the tackle. Because if you're trying to get recruited and a coach is watching this, in your mind, you're like, oh, the receiver beat me for a 10-yard play. But what really just happened? He caught the ball, and then he had space to run the whole length of the field and score. And that could be the difference between winning or losing a game. So you'll always want to treat it like a game situation. Get your tag off, run after the guy, punch the ball out, and finish. That's going to differ you on film, and it's going to show the coaches that you really care about what you're doing. Even if you get beat, you're confident that your next rep, you're going to go make a play. You're going to put more work in, come back better next season, all that. But whatever happens in the current rep, you focus on right now. You're going to do your best throughout the whole entire rep, from start to through the whistle, to make it a play where A, you get a pick, B, you make a play on the ball, or C, you hit him and make it hurt. Alright, next play here. Lining up in press. Shout out to Shane's younger brother. Got a future quarterback, all-star right here. One thing, if we're in Canada, you got to give a yard. So I'd recommend just getting used to it right now. And so make sure that you're standing beyond the yard line, but your whole body, like your head, nothing can come in front of that. Alright, let's watch this. Yeah. Alright, no catch. Nice. Nice job having your hands up, ready to strike. Now, right at the beginning, you want to give a fast, powerful strike. I recommend with the inside hand, because normally you want to keep your inside shade. But aside from that, right now, the basics of it, you want to get a fast strike and hit him right on his chest. You got to aim right on his chest so your hands don't slide off and you don't end up kind of hugging him or getting off balance or just missing completely. See right here, he gets inside your arms, and I wouldn't call it holding, but it's not in a good position to keep him in front of you and move efficiently with it. And this receiver too, this is my boy Aiden. He's a Field Hockey Canada guy, but he hasn't played that much football. So when you're playing against more competitive receivers, you want to make sure that, one, when you're pressing, you have your eyes on their hip right away, because they're allowed to dance around, back up. They could do a lot of different things. So you want to make sure you're able to shuffle with them at the beginning and keep them in front of you. But after that, if you're going to get your hands on them, get it in, see right here, got the hand on the shoulder, got your hand on his hip. Maybe you're doing a little slow dance with him, but what you want to do is just get that fast, powerful jab on his chest, slow him down, keep him in front of you, and come to balance. Aside from the actual press, because we haven't worked on it that much, do a good job here of fitting in with him. Just squeeze the receiver there. If he releases outside, he's probably breaking to the outside. And if he releases inside, he's probably breaking to the inside. So in this situation, if he releases outside of you, what you want to do is squeeze the receiver. And what that means is stay tight to him and feel his lean. If he's pushing on you, he's probably going to push off. And then if he's already leaning to the outside, just get ready, especially on an out route or anything breaking out, just ready to gear down with him and start running with him. Just be ready to gear down with him and start running with him in that same direction. You don't want to catch yourself confused or kind of lost here for the extra step, because that's enough for the receiver to get open. If you're leaning into him, you're going to be right there with him, ready to undercut the out or just run with him on whatever route he does, other than make a play on the ball. But either way, you're in a good position here. If you're too far away from the receiver, don't reach for him. That's just going to slow you down. Think if you're doing 100 yards running, and instead of your normal arm motion, elbows up, you have your arms out in front of you to the side and they're not really moving. What that's going to do is slow you down and you won't be running efficiently. So if you're not in a position to make contact with the receiver when he's in front of you, I'd recommend just not reaching for him. Then either way, at the end of the play, you're still just a couple steps behind, which isn't bad. The last correction here, I'd say on the gear down. After all this, still keep your eyes on his hip to watch it gear down, because you see the receiver gear down here. Interesting route, the wheel stop. But you see that gear down, you stop with him, then you turn around for the ball. If it was a better thrown ball, then if it was out here, he could still catch that, and then you have space. You want to be squeezing him the whole time, And if you're going to look, you either have a hand on his hip to know where he is, or you're turning into him this way so you can still see where the receiver is when the ball comes there. At the end of the day, he didn't catch it though. So, all right, next play. Got about 8 yards off in the pedal, so start slow out of it, tempo the receiver. No reason to hurry out of there. All right, good job being there. Not a catch. Looks like this is our last play, so we'll break this one down. Then we're good. Remember, we got coaching points throughout this whole video, so tag a DB. Make sure that you're getting yourself and your teammates better. Here we go. Eyes on the hip. Pedal. One thing here on the pedal is that you want to make sure that your arms are moving north and south, just like you're sprinting forwards. If they're going up and down, it's just going to make it harder for you to fluidly transition out of it. Think if you're backpedaling and you got a break going forwards, if your arms are going up and down, then forward and back, it won't be as smooth as it could be. So those are just some things. Check out some of the videos on my accounts, how to backpedal, all that, because the better you get at that, the faster you're going to be here, the more plays you're going to make. So the receiver does a dig, then turns it upfield. A little chair route. The only corrections, you do a pretty good job being there at the end. I just say, like I said before, lower in your pedal, just get out there a bit faster. But the biggest thing here, just like on the one earlier with the post route on the motion, eyes look like they're on the quarterback. And I get it. As a DB, you're excited. You want the ball in your hands. You're a ball hawk. You're excited to get the pick. But the way you get your most picks, especially after high school, when you compete against guys who are more technically sound, is by doing the right thing and then looking back for the ball at the last minute. So if your eyes are on the receiver here, you'd see that. Watch this, okay? So breaks down. 1, 2, 3, drive out of there, and then turns upfield. That's not like 3 steps is usually how much your receivers do on the fake. And the receiver here isn't really sprinting out of there that fast. So if you have your eyes on your receiver here, it was a great speed turn, but you wouldn't even need to. You'd be on top of the receiver, inside or outside shade. For one-on-ones, I'd recommend inside, but in a game time, know where your help is, because if you have safety help, I'd say be outside shade. If you have corner help, if he's high, be inside. But if your eyes were on the receiver, just that one correction, you'd be in a better position. It's an overthrow, you'd already be on top of it, and go jump up and high point that ball. So take those corrections, watch this video again, make note of it, because these are really big things. It's not that difficult when you break it up, but all together, it's what creates a great defensive back. So you want to know these corrections from a young age. If you're in high school, elementary school right now, if you're in university watching this, doesn't matter. You want to take the corrections and learn from it to up your game. If you learned something from this video, please click that subscribe button. Just passed, I think, 55 subscribers right now. 100 is the next goal. So this account is pretty new. We're growing fast. You want to make sure you don't miss out on any of the new content. We got a lot of stuff coming soon. So click that like button, notifications. For more, check out this video. Got some more film corrections here. And then also check out the rest of the page for workouts, because it's a mix between mentality and physicality when you play football. You got to know how to play the position, and you got to play it athletically, fast, and strong.